Nielsen, and welcome to this week's video. This week I sort of have a little potpourri video for you. I've got a few little topics that are kind of shorter that really were like questions that I could easily answer, and I didn't want to do a full video on just the one. So I've got 3 different things here on my list that we're going to talk about. They sort of go together, sort of, maybe not really, sort of. So the first one is like, how do you hold the space when you're having bad days? I get that question a lot. So I'm a mom of 5, and, they were not easy children. My younger 2 are easy. My older 3, give me a run for my money. I love them all dearly. They're amazing humans, and that like piece of angst like helped build their character and mine a lot. So it was never like, oh, I feel so sick today, I'm just gonna just lay here and everything will be fine. No, if I did that, my house would have been destroyed. So part of that is training your children from an early age to be able to slow down, and that it's okay to have down days, and that it's okay to find ways to entertain themselves. Now, I realize that you can't do that with a 3-year-old, but you can make a plan for those days for a younger child. So have a box that you only have open, that's only open during those days. That's only something that you get out on those days. So maybe it's special Play-Doh, or maybe it's, those drawing pages that you really don't want to use the rest of the time, but they're so excited about. Or maybe it's a video. Maybe it's like if it's truly a sick day and you really can't get off the couch, which I don't know anybody else who had hard pregnancies where they just wanted to lay there and not move. I've been there. So if you've got to have some downtime like that, you want to make a good plan for it. And you want to get help if you can get help. Now, then, of course, then there's just like the random, like you woke up and everybody is on the wrong, like in a cross mood, and like, how do you recover it? And if you can't recover it, my absolute favorite thing to do is just leave the house. Sometimes there's just bad energy that's floating around, and whether it be you stubbed your toe coming out of bed, or read a text wrong, or got in a fight with somebody on the internet, or whatever, or maybe you have a child that didn't sleep well the night before, and so you're feeling groggy, or maybe, you have children that are up and fighting first thing in the morning. You just can't regain that energy. First, try to regain it. I have, I usually all come together and we'll just all hold hands. It's harder to be mean to each other when you're all holding hands. Take deep breaths in together. We just look at each other and go, okay, what's going on? Like, I try to sort it through. And you might hear, well, she said, and he said. And so we talk about, well, how did that make you feel? Like, what things can we do to work through that? But if it's not recoverable, get in the car and leave. Not by yourself. Take your children with you. So those were days that we just packed up and went to the park. And yeah, you will lose a school day. Maybe not. Maybe pack up and take your school stuff to the park. I've done that many times. We lived in San Diego. We'd pack it up and go to the beach, because there was something about those sandy beach days that just, once kids' feet were in the sand, they just stopped arguing and fighting. So think about what you can do on days like that. Just leave the house. I try to always have things that I can easily pack up for a lunch, or at least a big snack. And there were definitely times where I was like, oh, screw it, I'm going to get in the car and figure out food later. Definitely been there. The act of like breaking the energy and getting in the car and leaving. Now, if you don't have a car available to you, maybe your partner takes the car to work, or you just don't drive, then go for a walk. Go get on the bus. Go take an Uber. Go somewhere. Get away from the house and get out of that space and that energy, so you can sort of break that energy and move forward into the next, a better space. So I hope that helps. That's my prescription for bad days. And also I will say that I generally don't have bad days. And the reason why I don't is because I take every 10th day off. And when I mean off, I mean off. Don't do school. we might sit and, like, my kids are older, so we might watch movies together. We might sit and listen to audiobooks. We might, when the world wasn't a mess, we would go to Disneyland when we lived in California, or the beach. Here we might go for a hike. So we just take it off and we just leave home and just, go do something else. That combats the bad days, because then your cup is filled and you don't feel worn out, bored, burned out, all those things. So give that a try. Okay, so the next one is movement for the phlegmatic child that melts down. So maybe you've got a phlegmatic child and you really want to get in that morning walk, or a walk at any time, and they whine incessantly, or they just melt down. I have so been there. I've so been there. My oldest child is about to be 24, and he would just complain, my feet hurt, like constantly. And I would say nicely at first, I understand, so do mine. Let's go. And there would be times that I just have to say, I don't want to hear about your feet hurting. I'm sorry your feet hurt. We're going for a walk anyway. We're just doing this. So there's that space of like honoring and acknowledging, and knowing that they're not going to die, so you're just going to go on the walk anyway. Now, if they're melting down, I've had one or two melt down and just sit down in the middle of the sidewalk. Decide they're not going anywhere. Generally, I just keep walking, because they'll get up. 9 times out of 10, they'll get up and they'll come. Not that you would leave them. They don't think that you're going to leave them, but they know you're pretty serious, and because you're already half a block down the road, and they probably should just get up and catch up with you. And you might do that 4 times in your walk. It'll be eventful. Try to disconnect your emotion from it as best as possible. Try to not be in the emotion of being frustrated at that child. Just put out your non-negotiable. If your non-negotiable is we're going for a walk every day, then say it, mean it, follow through. The problem we have with children of every temperament is that we say it, don't mean it, or we think we mean it, but we don't follow through. That following through piece is absolutely vital. Like, you've got to follow through. So if you say you're going to do something, follow through. Don't let them talk you out of it. Don't be swayed by, oh, I'm just so tired. Follow through. If you want them to truly understand that when you say something, you mean it, you have to follow through. Such a big piece. Follow through is huge. Okay, so the last one is, what if things are hard? Things like form drawing, painting, knitting, all the things. So I'm just going to ask you to think about some of the things in your life that have been hard. And once you've figured it out, where you're like, whew, I don't know why that was so hard. Sure glad I figured that out. Sure glad I conquered that, right? Your children need that. We live in a time when, things are a lot easier for children in general than they were 50 years ago. And it's really easy for us to want to do everything for them. And that does not help them learn. So when something is hard, even if they're having a meltdown, even if they're upset about it, you just keep going. Just keep going. You just do it again. You do it anyway. And when you do it anyway, it allows you to learn and watch them grow. And they will grow. If you continue to do it over and over and over again, they will grow. It's not going to be something that they learn from in a day. But in 10 days, they might. My oldest on the autism spectrum, he hated painting. Didn't mean we didn't paint. We still painted. It meant that he didn't choose that for sure when he was doing things on his own. And it meant that sometimes it was really tense as we were doing our painting for the week. And maybe I painted less with him than I did with the others. But he still painted. The same goes for forms. I know a lot of kids get frustrated about form drawing. So sometimes it's what we need to do. Like, what is your expectation? If your expectations are that things are done perfectly and you're expecting a perfect form out of a 7-year-old who's seeing the form for the first time, well, they're going to pick up on that. They're picking up on your energy. So much of what we do in homeschooling is, as we're teaching, is them picking up on us. So you want to ask yourself, if you're having tantrums, are you having tantrums because they're picking up on your energy? And they're picking up on what your expectation is, because maybe you need to lower your expectation. Think about, I think about a conversation on Facebook a few months back with a mom who was really upset because her child knew something and she knew her child knew it, but it was creating conflict because he was not performing to her expectation. And after a lot of people trying to help her throughout the day and answer her question and give her advice, it finally came out that her child was 6 and she was expecting a lot out of a 6-year-old. And I think that when they're your oldest child, you go, well, darn it, yeah, I should be able to expect this out of them. You got to think about what's age appropriate and where they are for their emotional space. And temperament plays a big part of it. So ask yourself, am I expecting too much? And on the flip side of that, you might have to ask yourself sometimes, am I expecting enough? You'll be able to feel into it the longer you're at this. You'll get to know your child, their style, what you can and can't do to push them. And you'll know if they're not giving you their all. You'll know it. You'll be able to feel it. I try to reserve my comments from making them right in the moment and just observe. I like this line in Deepak meditation where he says, today I will judge nothing. So dang hard. So hard to not judge. So we're constantly judging. That's what the human mind does. We're like, oh, that's right, that's wrong. She's fat, he's thin. That's light, that's dark. He's rude, she's not. Like, that's what our mind does. It's constantly judging. So when we can come to a place of recognizing that that's what we're doing and noticing, oh my gosh, I can't believe how sloppy their work is, and not saying it, but just taking it in, asking yourself, okay, so which child am I dealing with here? Oh, working with my phlegmatic child, or I'm working with the choleric child that's in a hurry, or the sanguine child that's in a hurry. What's in front of me? And what is it about this piece that they've handed me that is not meeting my expectation? And is my expectation too high? That's all stuff that's going on in your head. Does not come out your mouth, because we have to take that time to process. So often I'll say, hey, why don't you go grab a drink or go potty? Let mommy look at this for a minute. And then when they come back, the energy has been broken from them being in that space. I've had an opportunity to think about what's in front of me, and I can say, I'm looking at this and I just am seeing it's not your greatest work. Are you feeling okay? What's going on? And, depending on the child, they might be like, what do you mean it's not my greatest work? Or, oh, I think it's great. Or, you're right, I'm not feeling great today. Or, I was just in a hurry. So, decoding then what it is that's going on, I think is really important. And it's important for us to do that while withholding our emotion, withholding our reaction, because they can feel it and they'll 1000% feed off of it. So I want you to keep those things in mind. I hope this potpourri video was helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful week. We'll see you next time.